Coming up tonight, the F&M leader breaks his silence over the Adrian Gibson investigation. Grand Bahama is on the move with new signs of hope and revival for its residents. And welcome to Artistic Soul in our Generation Next segment. This is our News Weekend edition. Good evening, all. I'm Megan Shepard. Thank you so much for tuning in. The opposition Free National Movement holding a party conclave yesterday to assess what went wrong in the lead up to the September 16th general election and to chart the way forward. Following the closed conclave, party leader Michael Pintard addressing the current investigation of parliamentarian Adrian Gibson by the Progressive Liberal Party.
Presently, the Progressive Liberal Party has targeted Mr. Gibson. We do not know all of the facts in this matter, but they are going out of their way to drip feed the public with a fair amount of information suggesting a conclusion that has not yet been arrived at. And so we are waiting to hear the full set of accusations being made by the Progressive Liberal Party. And Mr. Gibson is a young, talented Bahamian. And we are praying that anything that they are asserting is absolutely false, but we are going to hear all of the facts. He's a member of our family who we care about dearly.
Pintard says that, in fact, many F&Ms are being savaged by the present government.
Urban renewal workers, members from social services, throughout the Ministry of the Environment, where contracts have been ended. In almost every ministry, this government has determined that persons who've been hired or contracted over the last 4.5 years will be the focus of their attention, both in terms of how they characterize them and in terms of how they end their livelihood. So when you ask about my feeling, don't confine it to one person. I ask you to look broadly at the incredible savagery that is being meted out to so many Bahamians.
The party leader says Bahamians are facing a rise in the cost of living, and the government must demonstrate compassion and lessen the burden on citizens.
We fully expect that BPL bills are going to be increased shortly. The government continues to heighten food insecurity because of their refusal to remove VAT of breadbasket items. The promises of bringing down container costs in terms of containers that are bringing supplies into the Bahamas has not materialized in the way they anticipated. They've yielded no results from their meeting with wholesalers, yet they have not provided the necessary resources to social services to help meet food needs through the Ministry of Social Services having shut down the food program being run by the F&M administration. And so I believe we have some real pressing issues that affect thousands of Bahamians.
Party Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands also addressing the uptick in COVID-19 cases. He says, quite frankly, this is no surprise.
We've had 2 additional deaths to now 800. The challenge, unfortunately, is that the message of discipline is no longer popular. The Ministry of Health and Wellness described it as COVID fatigue. And as much as we would all like to move beyond COVID, unfortunately around the world, in the United States, at our back door, COVID is very much here. The Bahamas has not been as aggressive with its vaccination uptake as perhaps we would like.
Signs of hope and revival for Grand Bahama as major investments in that island's economy are set to come on stream, bringing jobs and opportunities for Grand Bahamians. The president of the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce says there is much to look forward to. President of the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce, James Carey, admits the island has been in a depressed state for decades, well before recent hurricanes and the pandemic. With major investments now on the way, Carey says excitement is in the air.
Because there have been a lot of businesses in the past that have failed, and it's time for some of them to revive and come back, and I think this will be the catalyst. On its own, this project, although big, will not solve our problems. We're going to have to do it together. The Chamber of Commerce is particularly keen to see its membership rise to the occasion, take advantage of the opportunities that come. And it's not only my membership, because we understand very well that the entire community has to succeed.
While Kerry says there will be some trickle-down opportunities, entrepreneurs have to think out of the box on what they are bringing to the market.
Make sure that they have the proper structure, that it's just not open the doors and it's going to happen. You need some marketing with social media. You need to get your process in gear, get your target markets, generate some business plans, know where you're going to go and how you're going to go. And the Chamber is determined to assist, particularly new businesses coming in, with anything that we can do to encourage them and help them.
These latest projects are not expected on stream until earliest 2024. In the interim, the business community is hoping for smaller investments a lot sooner.
We hope that a lot of things will happen in between. So the anticipation is that there will be a lot of things happening in Grand Bahama, and we pray nothing interrupts this process. Hurricane season is on its way, so we're very leery of that. But we hope nothing interrupts the process, and very clearly, Grand Bahama will begin moving in a good direction.
The Chamber President is also hoping to see more efficient ways of doing business.
People are discouraged from process, and we talk about one-stop shop. There's some uncertainty about taxes, some uncertainties with the Grand Bahama Port Authority and their sustainability and how they will continue to operate and function. But we need to get the process more simplified so that, more business-friendly ways to do business, easier to get qualified, get licensed, get started.
The Minister for Grand Bahama, Ginger Moxie, noting a new unit designed to collaborate with NGOs, businesses, and other government agencies for the growth and development of the island. The Grand Lucayan Resort set to be in the hands of new owners soon, and the purchaser, Electra America Hospitality Group, is already stepping up to the plate as good corporate partners.
As stated in our Blueprint for Change, our government is committed to greater equity and opportunities for Bahamians in tourism. I am particularly excited about Electra's shared passion and commitment to social responsibility. And as the Deputy Prime Minister would have indicated, Mr. Russell Urban and his team have committed $5 million in partnership with CoLab and the Tourism Development Corporation to support the tourism product and Bahamian entrepreneurs.
Electra has also committed to assist communities impacted by Hurricane Dorian.
The new owners have also committed to the donation of the furniture from this property to residents throughout the island of Grand Bahama, and my ministry will lead this distribution. It warms my heart that Electra gets it. They recognize the role of corporate citizens and the need for a holistic approach to enhancing communities where they do business.
Still to come, Prime Minister Davis delivers the commencement speech at Middle Tennessee State University's graduation ceremony, and Bahamas Fire and Welding celebrates 50 years by giving back. That's coming up when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Philip Davis continuing his appeal on climate change in his recent commencement address at Middle Tennessee State University, saying leaders must act now. Davis also telling graduates their world will be shaped by these changes and there will be nowhere to hide, saying every state in the United States will feel the impact one way or another in years to come.
That is true in my country too, where hurricanes made more intense by rising ocean temperatures have devastated our beautiful islands, leaving tragedy and destruction in their wake. Leaving tragedy and destruction in their wake. Maybe previous graduates of university or previous governments in my country could postpone confronting the scale of the crisis. But none of us here today have the luxury of pretending this is someone else's problem to solve.
Prime Minister Davis also promoting the country's recent steps in the digital asset space, including a new government policy on cryptocurrency issued last month, and welcoming some of the brightest minds in crypto to our country. The Prime Minister saying the country is ready to leverage its experience in the more traditional world of finance to create a new generation of blockchain entrepreneurs.
Being at the dawn of an exciting new era of innovation means being aware of both the threats and the possibilities. My country is proceeding with both caution and enthusiasm. And just like many of you, we are determined to turn these big changes into big opportunities.
Bahamas Welding and Fire is showing appreciation to the people who have kept it going for 50 years. The company gave grocery boxes to residents of the Culmersville area in its second major initiative, leading up to the official anniversary in July.
It's a very difficult time for a lot of Bahamians who have lost their jobs or even lost income. So we as a corporate citizen, and this being our 50th year anniversary, 30 years within this area, so we thought it would be a good idea to make these food distributions to the needy persons in the area. This is our second food program initiative. The first one we have partnered with Bishop Lawrence Roll, where we have assisted them with cooking and also food distribution as well.
BWF distributed more than 60 boxes valued at just under $100, a gesture that is surely appreciated at a time when the prices of even the most basic essentials are soon set to increase. Cunningham says they will also visit other islands.
When July comes around, which is our anniversary month, we'll be doing a number of things, not only for individuals within the area, but individuals locally in Nassau, and we'll probably even extend doing some things to those in Abaco who have really been depressed as a result of Hurricane Dorian. And we have a sister company in Freeport, and we'll do something similar in Freeport as well, just to celebrate our 50th anniversary and as a response, as a gift back to the persons within the Bahamas, and our founder being Alfonso Boogaloo Elliott, which is a giving person, and we want to continue that spirit of giving to individuals.
When others bailed, one church group continues to assist those who suffered the ravages of Hurricane Dorian. And the focus is mental health when our news comes back from the break.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
The COVID-19 pandemic triggered a 25% increase in anxiety and depression worldwide, according to the World Health Organization. Similarly, Bahamians were faced with uncertainty, anxiety, and stress. A Grand Bahama-based organization is working to help Bahamians rise above the challenges and work together for a resilient future. Christina Dragovich tells us more.
From the devastation of Hurricane Dorian in 2019 to the pandemic in 2020, the Bahamas Resilience Center has made mental health the focus from day one.
We were opened a few days, not even a week, when the country went into lockdown for COVID, and we were able to begin providing services and programs to persons while they were locked away in their homes.
That's Jennifer Barnamy, the Program and Partnership Manager at the Bahamas Resilience Center. She knows talking about mental health is a difficult but necessary part of life.
And we're building resilience so that whatever other crises come upon us as a community, whatever other shocks, we will experience as a community, we are better able to cope.
And coping looks different for different groups and ages. Dr. Andy Lang is the clinical consultant for the Bahamas Resilience Center. He says during school visits, students always have a number of questions about mental health and illness.
They are very curious. A lot of them, in fact, have relatives who are suffering from mental illness, and so certainly they appreciate our presence and they appreciate the message that we are getting out there.
But the fact is, mental health still carries a stigma and is not something that people openly talk about.
When a person has a physical ailment, or even if they don't, periodically they would go to a physician and get a physical or get a checkup. Well, we encourage the same thing for persons in the mental arena.
Dr. Lang, who's also an assistant professor at the University of the Bahamas, explains a mental health checkup is a small step that may have big results.
And this doesn't allude that there's anything wrong with you. It's simply a way of checking up, checking in with yourself, checking in with a trained person to ensure that you are well mentally.
Although located on Grand Bahama, the Bahamas Resilience Center goes beyond borders with virtual services available. Reporting for our news, I'm Christina Dragovich.
After Hurricane Dorian, there were well over 100 local and global aid agencies on the ground. Then COVID hit, and the charity organizations quickly left, along with the resources and funding. Among the few remaining is one church-based group helping to meet some basic human needs. Jerome Sawyer tells us more in this edition of Making the Difference.
When a catastrophe the size of Hurricane Dorian sets down, even prioritizing the relief is a challenge. ADRA, the acronym for the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, exists in 130 countries. But in 2019, the Bahamas office became the focus for relief. With so much destruction and need, where to begin?
We got involved in because one of the things we discovered was that children were being neglected, left out. And so we engaged in the whole aspect in terms of helping, in terms of rebuilding of schools in Abaco and Grand Bahama, because you had a number of schools that were damaged, and so we engaged in the roof repairs, we engaged in putting them back together in terms of building properly, we brought in classroom supplies for them.
Over 7,000 school bags, 1,000 tablets and internet access to be specific. But as ADRA's country manager, Dr. Henry Munker, points out, the kids couldn't be taught without teachers who were also homeless.
If you want to open schools, you can't open schools without teachers, even though you're helping students. So we engage in a roof repair program for teachers between Abaco and Grand Bahama and helping them to get their lives back together.
And everyone is eligible for assistance.
We don't give service based on religion. We don't do it based on sexual orientation or sex. We don't do it based on gender. We don't do it based on whatever your philosophical belief is. Our whole goal is to help people live the way God intended. And so we look at the most vulnerable.
Since fall 2021, 10 structures have been built, with 15 more on the way. The goal is for 25.
But we have a list of over 100 people who need it. And the question is, how do you say yes to 25, but you still have another 100 that you know need it?
And you can help by donating your time and talent. Or if you simply want to donate money, visit adra.bs, email them, or visit their Facebook page. Reporting for our news, I'm Jerome Sawyer.
Coming up after the break, find out all about Artistic Soul Production Studios in our Generation Next segment. And weather and sports are up next. All of that when our News Weekend Edition returns.
got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
Welcome back. And now let's turn things over to our Marcellus Hall with the latest in college baseball and track and field out of Grand Bahama.
I'm Marcellus Hall, which is Sunday's Sports Check, and here's starting you off right away with some track and field news. This past weekend, I saw the island of Grand Bahama hosting the first Spring Fling Track Invitational over at the GB Sports Complex. The event, sponsored by Live, was well attended. Had a number of track teams out of New Providence all taking part in the various age groups and in the various events. Organizers pretty pleased about the way things went down. They're looking forward to the next track meet on the schedule, which will be this weekend in New Providence. That'll be the Red Lion Invitational. On to some baseball, where Dante Stewart, coming off some hand surgery, is back with the Northwestern State Demons. And he was demonic on the base pads in the game on Friday night, racking up 4 hits in 5 at-bats. Most importantly, they get a nice little win. Northwestern State, that is, looking pretty good as they take down New Orleans. 14-11 ends up being the final score. And they did lose on Saturday, with Dante going 0 for 4. But a 4-hit performance in this game on Friday, pretty impressive for the young man as he looks to continue the rest of his season. And that's your look at Sunday sports. I'm Marcellus Hall. See you next time.
Good news, we seem to be out of the woods with recent severe thunderstorms. Let's take a look at weather for the next few days. And now to our Generation Next segment. 33-year-old Ariana Joy Roberts is the founder of Artistic Soul Production Studio. Like her company's name, Ariana says her passion lies in all things visual, creative, and artistic, particularly the film industry. Roberts founded her company in 2011 while studying at the University of the Bahamas.
We focus primarily on film, so any production that comes to the island that needs to be serviced, we take care of it. That's from fixing, crewing, all of those things. So ABC, BBC, National Geographic, those are some of the projects that we've worked on. But more so in Grand Bahama and the Bahamas at large, we service corporate companies. So we do commercials. If they need a bit of marketing strategy, we assist with that as well. And for the most part, because we are a collaborative company, we bring a lot of creatives together.
Roberts obtained her master's in filmmaking at Full Sail University. Since then, her career has been moving full steam ahead, despite the challenges.
Filmmaking is not easy, but it's something that I love. Entrepreneurship is not easy, but it is something that I love, and I would not do it any other way. You know, I think the best parts of my days are when I get to work with new people and new creatives, or I have budding filmmakers shadow and want to work with us, you know. So it kind of keeps the dream alive. And also seeing our clients' faces, the talents' faces, you know, when they see the finished product.
Roberts says she finds inspiration in everyday life, whether communicating with clients, friends, or simply watching a television show.
It's really cool working with clients because, you know, they may have a vision and then you may tweak it a little bit so that they can see it differently. But for projects like 5, that's a documentary that I'm birthing, that's my own, that came from true story. You know, it's about the 5 boys that went missing in Grand Bahama. So that particular vision has a story of its own.
As to what's next for ASPS, well, Roberts says the plan is national and international expansion.
The goal is definitely expansion, but more importantly, in working with and working with associations like BASA, the Bahamas Screen and Stage Association, I see a bigger goal for the country at large rather than ASPS, and that is building the film industry to a world standard.
Her advice to aspiring creatives and entrepreneurs:
as long as you continue to make little steps, you will see in retrospect how much further you are along than you were. So that'll be my advice. And if you want to take a different path, do it. As long as it feels good in your heart and it's something that's natural to you, I'm sure you'll have all the means in the world to get it done.
And on that note, we thank you so much for joining us for our News Weekend edition. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Megan Shepard. Continue to enjoy the remainder of your weekend.